Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Everyday English Plus. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Ethan. Today we're talking about something that affects all of us, how we get around the city.
That's right. We live in San Francisco, and let me tell you, transportation here is interesting.
Definitely interesting. So, Lauren, you drive everywhere, right? You have a car.
I do have a car, and honestly, I can't imagine living here without one. San Francisco is so hilly.
Oh, yeah, those hills.
And the weather can change so quickly. Like, I'll leave my house in the morning and it's sunny, but by afternoon it's foggy and cold. Having a car means I can throw a jacket in the back seat and not worry about waiting for the bus in the fog.
That makes sense.
But parking? Oh my gosh, parking is a nightmare. Yesterday, I spent 20 minutes just driving around looking for a spot near my friend's place in the Mission.
20 minutes? That's crazy.
And when you do find a spot, you have to read all these confusing signs, like no parking from 8 to 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, except holidays, but only on this side of the street.
Right.
It's like solving a puzzle every time. And don't even get me started on parking tickets. I think I've paid more in parking tickets than I have in gas this year.
Wow. Well, that's exactly why I don't have a car. I rely completely on public transportation.
Really? How do you manage? I mean, I know the buses and the subway exist, but
It's actually not that bad. I mostly use the Muni buses and the BART train. The key is planning ahead and being patient.
patient. Yeah, I'm not good at that.
I use this app called Transit. It shows me exactly when the next bus is coming, so I don't have to stand at the bus stop for 20 minutes wondering if I missed it.
Oh, that's smart.
And honestly, it's kind of relaxing. When I'm on the bus, I can read, listen to podcasts, or just watch the city go by. I don't have to stress about traffic or worry about parking.
That does sound nice, but what about when the bus is late or when it's raining?
Okay, you got me there. When the bus is running late and it's pouring rain, I definitely question my life choices.
I knew it.
But that's when I call an Uber or Lyft. It's more expensive, but it's still cheaper than owning a car when you think about insurance, gas, maintenance, parking.
Yeah, you're probably right about the cost. I spend so much money on my car. Gas is expensive, insurance is expensive, and I just had to get new tires last month. $400.
Ouch, 400?
Yeah. But you know what? For me, it's about convenience and independence. Like, if I want to go to Target at 10 o'clock at night, I can just get in my car and go. I don't have to check bus schedules or wait for a ride.
That's true.
And when I want to visit my family in Sacramento, it's a 2-hour drive instead of taking BART to Richmond and then a bus, which takes like 4 hours.
Okay, for long trips like that, I totally get it. But for daily life in the city, I really think public transport works well. Plus, it's better for the environment.
You're right about the environment. I do feel guilty about that sometimes.
But don't feel too guilty. Everyone's situation is different. Like, if you have kids, taking them on the bus with all their stuff would be really difficult.
Exactly. And if you need to carry heavy things or go grocery shopping, I can't imagine taking 6 bags of groceries on the bus.
Yeah, grocery shopping is definitely one area where I wish I had a car. I end up going to the store more often and buying less each time.
So, what advice would you give to our listeners who are thinking about living in San Francisco? Should they bring a car or rely on public transportation? Wait, before we get to advice, we should talk about all the other options too. Like, what about those bike sharing programs and the scooters that are everywhere now?
I think it really depends on where you're living and where you work. If you live and work in the city center, public transportation is great. The bus lines are really good downtown. Oh, right. Yeah, the Bay Wheels bikes and all those electric scooters. I've tried both actually. The bikes are great for short trips, especially if you're going somewhere flat. I used one to get from the ferry building to Fisherman's Wharf once. Perfect for that kind of tourist route.
That makes sense. But what about the hills? I tried one of those electric scooters once going up Powell Street, and I thought I was going to die. The scooter was going so slowly, cars were honking at me, and my legs were shaking.
But if you're working in the suburbs or you travel a lot for work, then maybe a car is worth it. Also, try both. You could use public transport during the week and rent a car for weekends when you want to explore outside the city. Oh no, yeah, you have to be strategic about routes with those. I learned that the hard way too. Now I only use them in flatter areas like the Mission or Soma. And honestly, they're kind of expensive if you use them regularly. It's like $4 for a 15-minute ride.
That's actually a really good compromise. And if you do decide to get a car, my advice is to budget extra money for parking and tickets.
That's a good point about cost. You know what's interesting? How different transportation feels depending on the season. Like in summer, waiting for the bus in the sunshine is totally fine. But in winter, when it's raining and windy, that's when I'm really grateful for my car.
Right, yeah, that's so true. Winter here is rough for public transit. The buses get delayed, everything takes longer, and you're just soaked by the time you get where you're going. I actually keep an umbrella in my backpack from October through April now.
Seriously, parking tickets here can be like $80 each, and read those parking signs very carefully. Take a photo of the sign with your phone if you're not sure. And weekends are totally different too. Like, parking is actually manageable on weekends in most neighborhoods, but then the bus schedules are less frequent, right? So it's like you win some, you lose some. That's smart. And for public transportation, download the apps I mentioned. The Transit app and the official Muni app are really helpful. Exactly. Weekend bus service can be pretty unreliable. I've waited 45 minutes for a bus on a Sunday morning before. That's when ride sharing really makes sense. Or honestly, that's when sometimes I think about getting a car. Yeah, you mentioned cost earlier. I actually calculated my monthly car expenses once, and it was shocking. Between my car payment, insurance, gas, and parking, I was spending almost $800 a month, and that doesn't even include maintenance and repairs. And get a Clipper card. That's the card you use to pay for buses and trains. You can add money on it online and you just tap it when you get on. 800 a month? Wow. I spend maybe 200 total on transportation. That's a monthly Muni Pass for about $80 plus maybe $50 in Uber or Lyft rides, and then maybe $70 for those bike shares and scooters when the weather's nice.
Oh, and one more thing. If you're new to the city, try walking or biking sometimes too. San Francisco is actually pretty small, and you might be surprised how close things are.
That's a huge difference, though I think where you live in the city makes a big impact too. When I lived in the Richmond district, public transportation was pretty limited, but now that I'm in the Mission, there are so many more bus lines. Absolutely, though be prepared for those hills if you're biking. The Mission is definitely well connected. I live in the Castro, and it's great for public transit too. BAR, Mooney Metro, and tons of bus lines. But yeah, some neighborhoods like Noe Valley or the Sunset can feel pretty isolated if you don't have a car.
Yeah, the hills are no joke, but the views are amazing. And then there's the whole question of getting out of San Francisco. Like if you work in South Bay, Palo Alto, Mountain View, San Jose, BART doesn't go there directly. You'd have to take BART to Millbrae and then Caltrain, which could be like an hour and a half each way.
They really are. Well, I think that covers transportation in San Francisco pretty well. The main thing is to be flexible and patient whatever method you choose. That's brutal. I have friends who do that commute and they're exhausted. 3 hours a day on trains and buses. At that point, driving might actually be faster, even with the traffic. Though the parking costs in those tech company areas are insane too.
Definitely. And remember, there's no perfect solution. Every method has pros and cons. The important thing is finding what works for your lifestyle and budget. Although, don't some of the big tech companies have their own shuttle buses, like Google and Facebook? I see those buses around the city all the time. They're like these fancy coaches with Wi-Fi and everything.
Exactly. Well, that's it for today's episode of Everyday English Plus. Thanks for listening, everyone. Yeah, those are pretty nice, actually. My friend who works at Meta takes one of those. He says it's like having an extra hour and a half to read or work because he's not driving, and it's free for employees. Plus, the buses run pretty frequently during rush hour.
We hope this was helpful for your English learning journey. Join us next week when we'll be talking about American tipping culture. You know what we haven't talked about? Accessibility. San Francisco public transportation is actually pretty good for people with disabilities. Most buses have wheelchair lifts, and all the BART stations have elevators, though I've heard the elevators break down a lot.
That's a really important point, and it's one area where having a car might be essential for some people. Like if you have mobility challenges and the nearest accessible bus stop is 6 blocks away, that's just not practical.
For people who are new to the city and maybe coming from smaller towns, the whole public transportation system can feel really overwhelming at first. I remember when I moved here from Oregon, I was so confused by all the different types of trains and buses.
Oh, totally. Bar Mooney buses, Mooney Metro, cable cars, Caltrain. It's a lot to figure out. My advice is to start with just one or two routes that you need regularly, like from your home to work or to the grocery store. Once you're comfortable with those, you can branch out.